Fix your hat, bud. How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? You may have noticed we're in a different setting. We're in a different area. We're in a different location. Why is that? Right, that's what you're asking. So let me put it this way. When you grow up, can't stay with your mommy and daddy anymore, so you have to go somewhere else. They'll charge you to sleep there, and they get really angry when you don't pay them for sleeping there, even though it's a human right to have somewhere to live, to sleep. So that's why we're in this new studio. and look at it as a new opportunity, right? It's a new opportunity. It's a new area, right? But I just gotta be honest, guys. Being in this new situation, this new setting, has me a little bummed. So I thought, what can I do to not be bummed, not be sad? So I think the best thing I could do is, naturally, relive old past traumas. So today I have 10 of the most painful Raiders games I've ever had the pleasure to witness with my two eyes. I'll be honest, it was hard narrowing the list down to just 10, but here we go. We'll start it off with a very, very recent one. A lot of pain comes from expecting better but receiving worse, and that's what the 2024 season was for the Las Vegas Raiders. They started out week 1 L to the LA Chargers. Then in week 2 we had a come from behind victory against the Ravens. That was awesome. That was amazing. And so you're starting to think, okay, week 1 was pretty tough, but this team is starting to gel, right? They're starting to get used to each other, getting used to this offensive scheme. Gardner Minshew looked like a competent quarterback. Hey, we could win some games. And who's our next opponent? The Panthers. The Panthers. The 0-2 Panthers, who just now benched Bryce Young. They look terrible offensively. They look terrible defensively. This was a cakewalk. First game back in Allegiant Stadium for the year. So what did we do? We allowed Andy Dalton to go 26 for 37, 319 yards and 3 touchdowns. They allowed Chuba Hubbard, that's a great name by the way, 114 yards, and just a little cherry on top, our starting safety, Marcus Epps, out for the season. So what made that one painful? I think it's the fact that it was so early in the season. I had high hopes for this team. But honestly, not the most painful, because if you're a Raiders fan, you know every year we're going to have that one game against a terrible team, a worse team than us, right? A much worse team than us that we just kind of fumble away. And it's usually a blowout, right? You think about 2020, the Atlanta Falcons. You think about the Jets that season. You kind of just get used to it as a Raiders fan. Number 2, keeping it recent. Black Friday 2024. This is a point in the season where I had begun to lose all hope for this team. And I was more so watching the season almost as like a soap opera, where I was like, okay, what can go wrong this week? But for some reason, I had a little feeling, right? I was getting flashbacks to Christmas 2023 at Arrowhead. Aiden O'Connell at the quarterback. We were wearing the Color Rush jerseys. The couple days leading up to the game, I was getting pretty confident. And I was like, you know what? This team looks terrible. This offense sucks. Aiden O'Connell's our first-string quarterback. Shout out Aiden O'Connell. Love you, Aiden O'Connell. I had a little bit of confidence because we had Antonio Pierce as the head coach. A guy who isn't a great X's and O's guy. But against those rivalry teams, right, he was always at least putting out a good effort. And especially against the Chiefs. Even though he didn't have the best coaching tenure, he's one of my favorite coaches because of how well he played the Chiefs. And it was a close game. Aiden O'Connell had 304 yards. 2 touchdowns. Brock Bowers had 140 yards, a touchdown, and we held Kansas City at 63 yards rushing. That's not too bad, hey, that ain't too bad. But at the end, it was a botched snap, a fumbled botched snap, a play that shouldn't even been ran, right? It should have been blown dead. Anyways, that did us in. Number 3, I'm not going to harp on this too long. 2016 Colts, Derek Carr injury.
It's broke. It's broke. It's broke. It's broke.
It was the beginning of the end, right? We finally had a nice thing. We had a good team. And then it was taken away from us. This one hurt. 2017 against the Cowboys. If you remember, we were kind of mid 2017. I'm not going to say terrible because I've seen some bad teams. So comparatively, that team was mid. We were 6-7, right? Fighting for a playoff spot. Kind of a disappointing season, right? But this team was still fighting. This team was still out there. They were hungry. They were trying to get a win. And this was a pretty close game. It was a pretty close game. And then on 4th down, Dak Prescott sneaks, but it looks like we got him. It looks like we stuffed him. And then Gene Steratore comes out there, scheming, scheming. He's had this thing sitting in his pocket all day, waiting to use it, waiting for a fourth down. Please give me a fourth down. I cannot wait to pull this out, this little trick. He looks down at the ball, pulls out an index card, a folded index card, tries to stick it in between the ball, and then comes up real smug, grin on his face. First down, Cowboys. Watch the video. Watch his smile. Watch his smug smile. And tell me he didn't know what he was doing right there. The worst part is that wasn't even the final blow for the Raiders. We're only down by a field goal. We're in the red zone. Derek Carr scrambles out right. He's got Green ahead of him, right? He's about to get in within the 5. And it looks like, he reaches for that touchdown. And then Jeff Heath gives him a little push. And Derek Carr launches the ball out of bounds, out of the end zone, touchback Cowboys, ball game. Most of my friends in high school were Cowboys fans too. So that was a great Monday afterwards. Speaking of high school, 2018, example of a terrible team, a bad team. And I had essentially given up on the season. But we had a Thursday night showdown. San Francisco 49ers. Little battle of the Bay, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know who their other back was. TJ Beathard, maybe? They're both out. Okay, so who steps up for the 49ers for quarterback? This undrafted free agent, Nick Mullins. Oh, it's about to be a cakewalk. I remember telling my buddies in high school, hang out, let's watch the game, bro. This is going to be, it's going to be a little blowout. Come watch the Raiders take care of business. Thursday night football, primetime, a lot of people watch. Nick Mullins dropped 262 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he set the record for the highest QBR for a quarterback in their debut. Yeah, it was just 2 terrible teams. We just so happened to be the ones who came out on the bottom. It was a blowout. It was terrible. But this one's in the same vein of that Cowboys game. 2020, Miami Dolphins, Week 16, fighting for a playoff spot. Once again, if we can win out, we probably get in the playoffs, have a good chance at least. And we're keeping it a close game, right? It comes down, we drive down the field. Josh Jacobs intentionally goes down on the 1-yard line. I think that's the right call. We kick the field goal, and then we got about 40 seconds left, 40 and some change, to just get a stop. And Ryan Fitzpatrick winds back, uncorks one. As he's getting his face ripped off, Arden Key finally almost gets a sack. What does he do? He tries to rip Ryan Fitzpatrick's head off. Clean off. Twist it. Like that. And Mac Hollins, shout out Mac Hollins, Raiders legend, comes down with it. Burnt, what's his name? Isaiah Johnson. I actually liked Isaiah Johnson. They won the game. It was a 40-yard bomb or something, plus that little 15-yard penalty. Yeah, I think we're in field goal range now, buddy. Yeah, I think so. So this one isn't really a game, more so a small era in a season. That was the post-Henry Ruggs 2021 team from the start of November to midway through December. That team was shook. That team went through a lot. And I give the 2021 team a lot of credit for fighting. They had their head coach fired in a very unceremonious way. Not only does one of their teammates get arrested, but he takes the life of a young woman. That's a huge mental toll on a team. But watching them for that 1.5 month span, it was demoralizing. And ultimately that team went on to go into the playoffs in one of the craziest end of the season I ever saw. But it was definitely a hard time to be a Raiders fan. 2022, Week 2, Arizona Cardinals. Second game under Josh McDaniels. Raiders fans were still kind of blindly optimistic about the Josh McDaniels era. We were up 20-0 on the Cardinals at half. And Kyler Murray runs around the yards. They have 3 or 4 crazy drives. I think he ran around our defense, did circles around dudes twice in that same game. And then Hunter Renfrow gets knocked out cold, and fumbles, and Byron Murphy just a little scoop and score. Once again, this was a rough one because my roommate was a Cardinals fan. 2022, Week 5, Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, primetime game. A lot of people watching. Josh McDaniels still blindly optimistic because the team had started to go on a little run. They were looking kind of good. They were 1-4 at the time, but they were starting to gel. Looked like a competent football team. That offense, hey, I'll give Josh McDaniels credit, which, he did have Devontae Adams, and he had the leading running back, Josh Jacobs. That offense was clicking. It was looking good. Once again, rivalry game, and we're keeping it kind of close. Derek Carr has been pretty notoriously bad against the Chiefs. He was having a good game. 241 yards. 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs had 150 rushing yards. Devontae Adams went for 120. And Travis Kelce only had 25 receiving yards. Can you believe that? We held Travis Kelce to 25 receiving yards. Hey, that's pretty good. If you had asked me, we're probably winning that game 31-14. Because the Chiefs are going to put up some points. Oh, what's this? Oh, he had 4 touchdowns. It really annoys me because the Chiefs are a good team, right? Well, they get cute, right? And they really rub it in your face. They were like, okay, Travis Kelce's, struggling, whatever, but we're going to get his targets in the red zone. We're going to make sure we look at him in the red zone. Once again, close game. We got about a minute left, driving down the field. 4th down, but we're only down 1 point. We just need a couple yards, get a little first down, maybe do a little shot. What do? We try to take a shot. Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, boom, collide. Fall down. No PI, no nothing. Ball falls down, game over. And then Devontae Adams assaulted a cameraman. That poor defenseless cameraman, Devontae Adams. How do you sleep at night knowing what you did to that cameraman? Imagine if you were that cameraman and he was Devontae Adams and he shoved you like that after just now having 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. How would that make you feel? And I'll end this video with a game that ended an era. 2022. Welcome back, Josh McDaniels. You made the list once again. Congratulations, man. Christmas Eve. I just now got off work. I was tired. I was just ready to go home, have a little dinner, and watch some good football. Watch some Raiders football. And who are we playing? The Steelers. Okay, another rivalry game. But once again, we are the better team. We have more stars on the team. We have better players. And Derek Carr, in his last game as a Raider, had a classic Derek Carr cold game. 3 interceptions. Nice little Cam Sutton pick with 29 seconds to go to end it off. But it was sad. It was sad, man. Derek Carr wasn't the greatest quarterback, but I definitely respect what he did for this organization. It was hard seeing a guy, your childhood hero. That's my quarterback, man. That's my quarterback since I've been a kid, man. And he just he's just doo-doo now. On the bright side, the Raiders are on the right track. I think there's definitely more pain to come. We can almost be certain of that. But I think there's also a lot more good moments, some exciting moves, exciting games that we can look forward to. But let me know, what other kind of pain has this organization inflicted upon you? I would love to hear your thoughts. Once again, Raider Nation, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Hey, times are changing, right? You better change with them. Right? Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. This has been Raiders Daily at Night.